In chapter 1187, at the end, we saw the Sanji conquers Haki conversation, and now it's starting to get realer than ever. I've always said that Sanji has a good shot at becoming a conqueror and getting conquers Haki. The Zoro fans killed me, and we're here now. I believe I even had this conversation when I did my One Piece top 30, like way earlier in the year. I was like, yo, Sanji's going to be a conqueror, so I'm gonna get him in here. I got killed. I'm telling you, the comments, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Sanji's not gonna be a conqueror. So now that we're here, really, this is less about the I told you so type of thing, and I already know the Sanji fans are rejoicing right now. I want to analyze what Gaban specifically said to Sanji. And one of the things that he said to him is that Sanji has the potential to be a king. The main thing that I'm taking away from this, more so than anything else, is that Conquerors Haki, as we originally perceived it, is different. If you look at One Piece power scaling conversations from years ago, that would be like, this character was not born to be a king. He was not born to be a conqueror, and because of that, there's no shot at them unlocking Conquerors Haki. But now we're seeing something different from Gaban. Gaban comes through and says, if you have the potential to be a king, you can still unlock that hidden potential and become a conqueror across the board for One Piece. That changes the game. This was probably one of the biggest things that we've seen in One Piece in a very, very long time. It's no longer, oh, you don't have a mentality like Captain Kidd or Luffy, there's no way you'll be a conqueror. No, there's a lot of people out there that have potential to be conquerors, but there's a slight thing that's hindering them from unlocking that latent potential. That's what we're understanding right now. There's a lot of Gohans in One Piece right now, a lot of people that have latent potential, they just haven't unlocked it, and Gaban is the guy holding the key, no pun intended. So here we are now. Gaban is hinting to Sanji, he's saying that the reason why your growth is stunted is because of your masochistic instability. What I'm taking that to mean is Sanji allows people to inflict pain on him for pleasure. This is basically lining up with his love for women, and we know that's Sanji's weak point. He loves women so much, he can't fight them, but every time a lovely lady attacks Sanji, he gets pleasure from it. That's like the thing with his character. That's the gimmick, and this is just the way I'm interpreting it now, right? What Gaban is telling Sanji is that kings do not act in this manner. You got to realize Gaban used to sail the seas with Roger, and I remember when people saw Roger falling in love with Shaki, the first person they thought of was Sanji, because they were like, oh, Roger has Conquerors Haki, he became king of the pirates, and he still has hard eyes for Shaki. So this is an upscale for Sanji, but we have to analyze this. Roger, even though he did love Shaki, the way he interacted with women was not in a masochistic way like the way Sanji does. He loved Shaki, but it was never on the level of, yo, Shaki, no matter what you do to me, you can kick me down and I still have hard eyes. Even Gloriosa, right? Let's talk about it. If Sanji were swapped in for Roger in that instance, would he react the same way to Gloriosa the way that Roger did? Roger looked at Gloriosa and was like, you're cool, but you're not the one, and it's okay. Sanji, on the other hand, is like, I don't care what it is, who you are, if you're a lovely lady, you got the W on me. The reason why I'm saying this now is if Gaban is truly talking about this, and he's also a character that understands the power of love, right? Because we know he's Colin's father, he's technically together with Ripley right now, so he understands love as well. But my main thing with this is I feel like the way Sanji is going to unlock his Conquerors Haki is he's going to have to battle Zaza, and I don't know exactly how it's going to look, and I know he's trying to find a way to circumvent battling Zaza by fighting Killingham, because right now he's thinking, right, he's contemplating, he's like, all right, I have to become a king in order to help Luffy become king of the pirates, but how do I become a king? And I'm like, well, Zaza's right there, and you were trying to avoid fighting Zaza by going straight for Killingham, and it's like, no, you're gonna have to fight Zaza, and I feel like if he fights Zaza, that Conquerors will unlock. That's where I'm at with Sanji right now. I know a lot of people are looking at Zaza and saying, well, Dragon's the answer, Dragon's gonna pull up, this is Dragon's devil fruit ability, and I'm not saying those things can't be true, but I feel like Zaza is very important for Sanji's growth and for him to become a conqueror, because he has to overcome this masochism, and that's just for Sanji specifically. But what I really want to talk about now, who are some characters that we see in the One Piece verse that do not have Conquerors Haki yet, but have the potential to unlock this Conquerors Haki, to unlock this ability? And I have a list of characters, and obviously you guys can list them as well. I'm seeing some people list them already. I wanted to go through my list of characters that I believe have the ability to become conquerors, or they probably are conquerors already, we just don't know about it yet. But again, with this new information from Gaban, to me, it's pretty much locked in. This is not just an ability that you're born with, it's an ability that you really can unlock. Sabo is a character that was on my list. He's 1000% a conqueror in my eyes. When you're talking about somebody that has kingly ambition, chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army, he's He's the Flame Emperor right now. He has more notoriety than Dragon. He trains every single day, so he has the power, he has the prestige, he has the familiarity with Haki already. I feel like Sabo is 1000% going to be a conqueror, no question. Second on my list, this is really in no order. This is just whoever. I do have Blackbeard. I feel like Blackbeard is going to be a Conqueror's Haki user. Do I think he has unlocked it yet? No. But do I think he has the potential to unlock it? Absolutely. Now, when Gaban said that the one thing that was hindering Sanji was his masochistic instability, the thing I think is hindering Blackbeard is the on-screen aggressiveness, the one-to-one confrontation. Blackbeard, as we know, is very opportunistic. He will avoid a 1v1 confrontation if it means he can find a way to finesse a W off screen or through another character. And I feel like in order for him to become a conqueror, he has to overcome that. You cannot be fighting behind somebody else. You cannot be using your crewmates as meat shields and you throwing grenades. You need to actually have this 1v1 confrontation. When we see Blackbeard look at Rayleigh and say, I don't know if I could beat Rayleigh right now. And even Rayleigh came out of that fight saying, honestly, I'm older now, so Blackbeard probably would have won. Blackbeard still thought he couldn't beat Rayleigh. And that's how much Blackbeard avoids confrontation. And I feel like that's the one thing that's hindering him from becoming a conqueror. And I feel like he will overcome that. I'm not saying he has to move like his dad, right? Rox was on a completely different level. He loved the 1v1 confrontation. He was a conqueror day one. Before he was even a pirate captain, he was a conqueror. Killed an admiral. I'm not saying he has to move like that, but we need to see a more aggressive Blackbeard. Enough of this off screen. Enough of this, all right, Burgess, I'm gonna send you here and hide in Pirate Island. No, we need 1v1 Blackbeard confrontations. Next on my list, I have Ben Beckman. I think Ben Beckman, if we're looking at his comparisons to Shanks, and we know that they called Shanks the 1A and Ben Beckman's the 1B, to me, I feel like the way Oda has hyped up that Ben Beckman is very close to Shanks' level, I feel like he has to be a conqueror. But we obviously have to see more on-screen stuff happening. It's theorized that Ben Beckman was the one that took Captain Kid's arm, and if he was the one that took his arm, upscale, conqueror, for sure. You don't just body Captain Kid and take his arm and not be a conqueror. I don't see that happening, especially considering that Captain Kid is a conqueror. So I think Ben Beckman has it. Next on my list, I have Akainu. Akainu is a character that definitely gives me kingly ambition. He is somebody that will literally try to force his will or impose his will on others. This is what I believe justice is. It doesn't matter, Fujitora, that you disagree. Shut up and get to work. Kizaru, I'm sorry that you're crying on the Denden Mushi. I'm sorry about this. Doesn't matter. I'm still running the show. A real Kugyu, you're a fan of mine. You're a yes man. Join my team. Akainu has been moving like this for such a long time. When we go to Marineford, Akainu is the admiral that chooses to have that 1v1 confrontation with Whitebeard. Granted, it took him a while to get there. He used like all these little tricks and stuff to chip away at Whitebeard, but eventually it was Whitebeard and Akainu having that 1v1 standoff. Then he's an admiral that clashes with Shanks. Then he's an admiral that forces Blackbeard to run away. Then he's an admiral that forces Kuzan to leave the Marines because he's like, I'm getting my will. I'm getting my way. No matter what, I'm going to fight Kuzan. So to me, Akainu is somebody that has Conqueror's Haki. I believe he does. Next up on my list, and I don't know if this character is confirmed to have it or not, Golden Lion Shiki. I will have to revisit some of the God Valley panels because I'm not sure if we got to see Shiki using Conqueror's Haki. But I do feel like Shiki, later on, him clashing with Roger, right? Was that the Battle of Edward? He fought Garp and Sengoku in a 2v1. I think Shiki 100% has Conquerors. He's just, right now, I believe he's unconfirmed. So he's another character that's on my list. Shiki is a Conqueror for sure. Next on my list is completely obvious, in my opinion, is Monkey D. Dragon. Now, we do know Dragon is unconfirmed to have Conquerors, but I do believe during the Marineford War, when Luffy used Conqueror's Haki, they were all shocked, and then somebody name dropped that, oh, he was Dragon's son, and they were like, what? Oh, he's Dragon's son? It makes sense. Oh, Dragon was a former Marine. The Marines respect him, but there's also that case, you're the lead of the Revolutionary Army. That's kingly ambition. You're fighting against the world government. You're a conqueror. And next on my list, now we're getting a little bit more headcanon. Captain Kobe of the Marine. I don't know if it's there right now. The Honesty Impact to me was a hint that Kobe is moving in the right direction, and he's moving in the direction of characters are now placing their hope and dreams into Kobe. Similar to how people would place their hope and dreams into Luffy, we're seeing Hibari, a lot of his subordinates in general, are placing their hope into Kobe. And it's so much so that Garp is placing his hope into Kobe. That was the point where I was like, like, wait a minute. If Garp is a person that wants to believe in Kobe, Kobe might be a conqueror later on into the series. That's kingly ambition. But yes, I think Kobe towards the end of the series is going to be a conqueror's Haki user. But next on my list is Shamrock. Now, I know there's a lot of people, I've seen so many comments, I've seen so many debates. There's a lot of people that look at Shamrock right now and they say, there's no way you're as strong as Shanks. You're his twin brother. What does that mean? You're a holy knight. We don't respect the holy knights. I have always been on the opposite side of the coin for that. So I feel like Shamrock is definitely going to be a conqueror's Haki user. And that's more so me believing in him not only being the head of the holy knights, but him now basically telling Loki that, hey, if we freed her right now, we can hang with you. I can hang with you, if I freed you from these chains. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, all right, Shamrock, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you came up together with Shanks. It wasn't just none of this happened and you guys weren't together as holy knights for a very long time. And I'm not saying he has to be Shanks level, but I do think he has to be a conqueror in order to lead the holy knights. That's kingly ambition. So I got Shamrock. Next up, I have Buggy. Buggy, for the longest time in this series, has been a meme pick. He's been the comic relief. And now we're getting into a point where Buggy allowed himself to get beat up by Mihawk and Crocodile and still declared to his crew that I don't care what they're talking about. I want to go for the One Piece. They can beat me up. I don't care. We're going for the One Piece right now. When I saw that switch in Buggy's character and the fact that no matter what happens in the story, Buggy still finds a way to literally fail upwards. It's unbelievable. I don't think you guys realize. I know there's some people that realize this and they feel like, oh, it's funny, it's a gimmick. But the reality of the situation is Buggy finds a way to still win even when we thought he lost. And it's unreal. We got to understand where Buggy came from, not being that strong at all in the earlier chapters of One Piece. But he has such a powerful devil fruit that he sailed the seas with Roger and Shanks. So he's seen the strongest of the strong already. He has the respect of very powerful inmates of level 6 Impel Down. Those are strong people. Has the cross guild now, and you can give more credit to Crocodile, you can give more credit to Mihawk, but Buggy had that prior to them getting there because remember, Buggy was a warlord. He was supplying the pirate world with weaponry. This is something that Buggy was doing. Then later on into the series, now he's part of the cross guild. He has all these people respecting him. He's now an emperor of the sea, and he's telling Mihawk and Crocodile, I don't care what y'all talking about. I want to go for the One Piece. So I'm letting everybody know. You guys figure out what you're doing with that information. I know what I'm doing. I'm going for the One Piece. To me, he's now starting to become more confident, and we're starting to see, oh, the Roger impact, the Shanks impact is now starting to surface in Buggy's character. And now I'm a believer, and I'm like, I would not be shocked if we see a Buggy upscale later on in the series. I would not be shocked. Like, I know it sounds like a meme pick right now. I know it sounds crazy. But I would tell you guys to reread or rewatch some of the Buggy stuff going on. The way Buggy moves in the story, it's unreal. Random, you said, to be fair, he is still scared of Crocodile and Mihawk, but he is the face of the Cross Guild. But here's the thing, though. You could be scared. I think even Whitebeard may have felt fear in the past. Like, these characters, they still feel fear, but it's moving forward through the fear that makes you a conqueror in my eye. Them being scared but still wanting to move forward. And Buggy is now showing us that yes, he's scared of Crocodile, he's scared of Mihawk, but even more than that, he wants to move forward with his will, and his will is to go find the One Piece. And to me, that's where I'm like, he's showing signs of kingly ambition, because most people would not do that. In the presence of Mihawk and Crocodile, they're gonna be like, sir, you got it, bro. Mihawk, you want water? I got you right now. They would not tell them straight to their face. And remember, during the Marineford War, Mihawk did try to cut Buggy and he couldn't do it. Again, Oda does this a lot where he'll tease little gimmicks, little comedy things here and there, and we're like, oh, this is just a fun hee hee ha ha moment, and then later on we find out no, that was actually serious. Next up on my list is Dracula Mihawk. He's not confirmed to be a conqueror, but I think he is a conqueror user for sure. I think he's a conqueror. Kingly ambition is literally becoming the world's best swordsman. That to me is kingly ambition. It would make the most sense for his character to be a conqueror. You don't get to rival Shanks for all these years, show Zoro how to use Haki, and not become a conqueror's Haki user. user. But I feel like if Mihawk is to be a conqueror, it's strictly off of his ambition to be the best swordsman. On the pirate side of things, he does not want confrontation. That's factual. Mihawk back in the day, he was a marine hunter. He was going after the marines. I feel like Mihawk, like a younger Mihawk, was probably more aggressive. But Mihawk now is very chill, does not want confrontation. He didn't want to fight Shanks. He didn't want to do this. Oh, he didn't even want to be in the cross guild and go after the marines. Like, he does not want to be in anything right now. So right now, I'm not seeing that kingly ambition for Mihawk, except for the world's strongest swordsman thing. And we can talk about the Straw Hats a little bit here, because somebody said that Jinbei could possibly be a conqueror. I'm also seeing a lot of people say Usopp in the chat as well. You guys think Usopp will be a conqueror? I could see a greater argument for Usopp in the sense that Usopp finally had the ability to tell off Imu, who's the king of the world. That's a sign of confidence that we really haven't seen in Usopp since Water 7. And to me, I feel like if Usopp is able to step more into his Soge King bag, there's a chance. I know they revered him as a god in Dressrosa with the Tontatas and all that stuff, but in reality, that's all just comedic relief and meme stuff. I'm talking about Usopp right now, the Usopp that told Imu off to his face, called Imu a coward, essentially. That Usopp, if he stays in this lane, there's a chance. And the only reason why I'll say there's a chance is because Yasopp exists. That's the only reason. I feel like Yasopp and his existence as being one of the greatest snipers, gunners in the One Piece series, and we literally saw him blow up Bartolomeo's ship with just one shot, low diff, no effort whatsoever. When we see things from Yasopp, I feel like there is a ceiling, or maybe Oda's foreshadowing where Usopp is going to end up later on in the series. And if he's able to reach his father's level or surpass his father, that's going to take some kingly ambition. I don't know if he's #1 in the runnings for the next Conquerors Haki user in the Straw Hats, besides Sanji. Sanji right now is next up. Outside of Sanji, we're seeing the Jinbei mention. Jinbei used to be a former pirate captain. He was the captain of the Sun Pirates. Right, we've seen him clash against Big Mom. We've seen him literally now block Imu's attack. So Jinbei's not afraid to get into the fray. He's not afraid to be in the mix. He was a former warlord as well. I do see Jinbei as somebody that has somewhat of a kingly ambition. So Jinbei is also in the mix. Marco, I would love for Marco to have Conquerors Haki, but Marco to me is questionable. He's questionable in the aspect that moment of kingly ambition to me was the payback war. And after they lost, he did not say, let's try again. He said, Blackbeard got it. I'm gonna go off into another island somewhere and chill out and play doctor. Not saying that's a bad thing. I just don't see the kingly ambition right now in Marco. He can unlock it, and if he does have it, I would love to see it. We did get to see him and Wano going crazy. He blocked King and Queen at the same time. He kicked out Big Mom's ship. So Marco has some stuff going on, but I would love to see Marco more in the fray, but it looks like Marco kind of wants to go off into the sunset right now. Shanks tried to recruit him. Marco wasn't about it. So I don't really know what's going to happen there, but I would love to see Marco have it. I'm not seeing the kingly ambition from him right now. Shashak, you said it already. London, you said it already. Believe it or not, the straw hat I had outside of Sanji to become a conqueror is Nami. It really is. I know it sounds ridiculous, but upon further review, when we look at what conquerors in the series are able to do and the way they move, Nami really could become a conqueror. A lot of Conquerors Haki is imposing your will on other people, in a sense of, we see that with Whitebeard or just whoever in general. That is Nami's entire thing. She imposes her will on Luffy all the time, imposes her will on Zoro, imposes her will on Sanji. That's the monster trio, right? Imposes her will on Zeus, literally takes Zeus from Big Mom and says, nah, you're part of my bag now. We saw even in Whole Cake again. You remember the King Bomb situation? Nami literally imposed her will on King Bomb. It was like, all right, now you're gonna be my mount. That's how Nami moves. It's an odd pick just because Nami has always been the poster child of the weak trio in the Straw Hat crew. She's always been down there. She has glimpses of super powerful moments, and I feel like her character and her personality is definitely a conqueror. If there is one thing that's hindering her growth, I feel like Scopper Gaban may say, just be as simple as, Nami, you got to get in the gym and just get stronger just in general, because her personality is definitely giving, you know, that kingly ambition, or I should say queenly ambition in this instance, right? So the only other thing that she's lacking lacking really is just fighting prowess. And Oda kind of memes with it, with Nami yelling at Luffy all the time. But there was that one time where Nami yelled at Luffy and Jinbei was like, whoa, are you Conqueror? Like, what's going on? And once we saw that, there is a chance. And I feel like that would be Gaban's recommendation or suggestion to Nami to be better, is that, hey, look at Boa. I wouldn't even have to tell Nami to go look at Big Mom or anybody else. I would just be like, look at Boa. That's my list of like who's next up to get Conqueror's Haki outside of Sanji, because we know Sanji is going to be a Conqueror very soon. Crocodile is a Conqueror. Ooh, Crocodile being a Conqueror, I don't know. He is a very ambitious pirate though. I could see that. But like Blackbeard, he also is very opportunistic as well. I feel like Enel had that kingly ambition. Obviously, he had literally all of Skypiea revering him as his god. And then Luffy gave him a major reality check, and we haven't heard or seen him since. Again, conquerors are characters to me that are constantly in your face, even if they lose, right? A conqueror does not mean that you're going to win. A conqueror can mean a character that loses and still says, if you didn't kill me, you will see me again, because I cannot live in a world where your will or your way is above mine. That's how these characters typically operate. Enel right now, kind of, he's off screen. We don't know where he is. Well, we do know where he is. He's on the moon, but we don't know what that's really going to mean until we see him again.